Now, please turn, go ahead and put a pencil or something, turn to Proverbs chapter 1. You should probably look at this yourself. Proverbs 1, and we'll start in 22. And while we're reading this, while you're reading along with me, I want you to think about the state of our nation today. I want you to think about the United States of America and the so-called church in America today as you listen. And we'll pick up in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 22. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and the fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called, and ye refused, I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear comes. When your fear comes as desolation, and your destruction comes as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then shall they call upon me, and I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me, for that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But, whoso hearkens unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. Does this describe things as they are today? I mean, destruction is coming. Calamity is around the bend somewhere. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He's not going to stand for the nonsense that is going on very much longer. Brother Cole brought up today what's going on in the Middle East. I'm praying for God's will. Whatever His will is, let His will be done in the Middle East. But whoso hearkens unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. And so, are you hearkening? Are you listening to what He's saying? To what He's saying to us? He tells us a lot of things. He tells us who He is. He's the Most High God. He tells us who we are. We are His chosen people. He tells us where salvation is. Salvation's in Yeshua and Jesus. And He tells us how we are supposed to behave. He tells us what He expects from us, and that's the law. It's all there. And so are you listening to Him? Because if you're listening, if you're hearkening, if you're obeying, because hearkening has a little aspect of you listen and then you do what you hear, you've got nothing to fear. That's what I said earlier. You know what? Whatever comes, comes. He has us. We're His people. Do you have ears to hear and eyes to see? Because He tells us what He's going to do. And I think the Bible is fascinating. I guess I should. If I didn't, we'd all be in trouble. But it's written on lots of different levels, right? It's written on a physical level. It's written on a spiritual level. It's written on a really high level. And there are things we should consider. Consider Noah. Consider Joseph. What did Joseph do during times of plenty? Consider the ants. Consider the wise virgins. Think about them. Those have physical ramifications. Those have spiritual ramifications. We should be considering those examples because He has told us judgment is coming for you as an individual. It's coming later. But for the nation, it's coming sooner. I mean, that's a guarantee. When is it exactly coming? I don't know. But it's coming sooner than it is for you. But whoso hearkens unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. Okay, let's finish up Luke chapter 11. Verse 52. Woe unto you lawyers, here he is again, for you have taken away the key of knowledge. Ye entered not in yourselves, and them that were entering in ye hindered. So you took away the key of knowledge, you didn't go there yourself, and those that were trying to go there, you slowed them down, you hindered them, you got in your way, you threw a stumbling block in front of them. These lawyers, these were men who were knowledgeable in the law, in Torah. They were well read and they were supposed to teach it. And they were in what we call the Old Testament, but what we learned 2 weeks ago should rightly be called the Tanakh, right? You know, that's what we really should call it. So just the Old Testament, because that makes us think like Old Testament, New Testament, and that's where you get that silliness like, you know, I'm a New Testament Christian. This is all one book, one letter to us. And so, but they should have seen that Yeshua was Messiah. I believe some of them knew he was, and it was upsetting their personal apple cart. But they should have known that, but they denied him instead. And also what they did is they threatened to cast out of the synagogues those who followed him. Now these are the guys in power, and they're saying, if you follow that guy, you're out of here. You're not with us, right? So they're hindering those who are trying to believe. And they're supposedly knowledgeable men, and they're denying their people knowledge. You don't have to turn there, but John 17:3 says this, and this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent. The correct knowledge of God and his word is eternal life. I mean, that's the way to go, that correct knowledge. And these teachers are denying the people correct knowledge. Does that happen today? Do teachers deny people the correct knowledge either on purpose or through ignorance? Yes, they do. They absolutely do. And instead, what they did then and what they do now, what they did in the past, what they do now, and what they're going to do in the future, instead of giving them the true word, the truth, the real knowledge, they substitute for that man-made traditions. It's like, you don't need this truth, you need this, because this is sexier, this is tingling to your ears, or fascinating to your eyes. Matter of fact, please turn back a little bit to Mark. Next book back. Mark chapter 7. Mark 7, verse 6 is where we'll pick up. He, Yeshua, Jesus, answered and said unto them, well has Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, the people honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. There it is. Instead of worshiping God, worshiping him as he tells us to, here's these traditions of men, and this is what we're going to use instead. And that's worshiping him in vain. It doesn't work. For laying aside the commandment of God, ye hold the tradition of men, as the washing of pots and cups. Remember when he's talking to the guy about, oh sure, you wash the outside, but the inside is filthy. And many other such like things you do. And he said unto them, full well you reject the commandment of God, that you may keep your own tradition. So today, that was then. Today, are people rejecting the commandment of God today? They are. Literally and figuratively today. Today's the Sabbath. Right? There are people rejecting the commandment of God today. That's a literal thing. I mean, and that's just one of them. Are people substituting their own traditions instead? Sundays are tradition, man. We've covered that in depth. There's another really big tradition, man, coming up in a little over a month from now. That's substituted. And you know that one that's coming up in a month has nothing to do with the Messiah. It doesn't matter what people think or what people feel. Because you know what? If they've sat in this church for the last 7 years, they know the truth about Christmas. And you hear things like, but it feels good, and it feels right, and God knows my heart. Yeah, he does. He knows your heart, that you're substituting tradition for his commandments. You know, pastors preach that it's okay to celebrate this pagan holiday honoring Baal. That's what it is. It's nothing else. You can't, what did Sarah Palin say? You can't put lipstick on a pig and call it anything else. I mean, it's still a pig. I'm getting off track a little bit. Maybe we have to, pastors preach that it's okay. We don't have to worry about the law, right? The law's done away with, and we don't have to follow it anymore. I know I'm preaching to the choir. 2 Timothy 4:3 says this, you've heard it before, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap unto themselves teachers, having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and they shall be turned unto fables. Fables like little fat men in red suits, or fables like trees bedecked with all kinds of frou-frou, or rabbits and colored eggs and sunrise services. I mean, those are traditions of men. Those are fables. They have nothing to do with worshiping the Most High. And we read in Timothy that time will come. Well, that was written then. I'm telling you, that time is now. That time is here. We, the big we, not the immediate we here, but we are living that. We're heaping to ourselves pastors who tell us things that we want to hear. I'm not going there. I'm just not going there. But we are all, I believe, going to see the consequences of this kind of behavior. We're going to see the consequences of the choices that our nation, you can define nation however you want, has made. All right, let's finish. Luke 11:53. And as he said these things unto them, all right, so he's chastising them, right? He's telling them what's coming down the pike. He's saying, you guys keep this up, and judgment is coming. And so, how do they receive this? And as he said these things unto them, the scribes and the Pharisees began to urge him vehemently and to provoke him to speak of many things, laying in wait for him and seeking to catch something out of his mouth that they might accuse him. That's just how they are. That's how they were then. That's how they are now. There's nothing new under the sun. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He created this world. He created you as a being. He created you as you are, as the person that you are. He put us here. He told us how to live. And he's coming back. He's coming back to judge. To judge the quick and the dead, the alive and the dead. He's coming back to judge us. He wrote, I said it earlier, but he wrote this letter to us. He wrote it for you. It's not just for me to sit up here and read on Sabbath and Brother Cole to expound on later in our studies. He wrote it for you. And so you need to read it. You need to get into the Word. You need to pray about the Word. And in doing so, avoid the traditions of men that make vain the Word of God. Fill yourself with godly knowledge instead of man's knowledge. Let's pray.